Welcome back. I think this is the longest we were off target on the cycle since Brachas, but Baruch Hashem, we're back in the saddle now, and we're learning today's Mishnah Yomis, which is Perek Gimel, Mishnah Beis, and Mishnah Gimel. So, Vlad Toida Usmurasa, the offspring of a thanksgiving offering, and its exchange, Vlad Vladan, Vladan, and the offspring of the exchange, Vlad Vladan, and the offspring of the offspring at Seifa Eilam, as far as you want to go, Hari Elu Kataida, they're all offered up as thanksgiving offerings, except that with the offspring and the exchange, you don't bring the 40 loaves. Although that, She'enon Tunin Lechem. Now, Tmuras Oila, the offspring of an Oila. Now, it can't say the exchange of the Oila. It can't say the offspring of an Oila, because an Oila is a male. So, Tmuras Oila, the exchange of an Oila, or Vlad Temura, and the offspring of its exchange, because its exchange could be a female, Vlad Vladan, and its offspring, Vlad Vladan, and offspring of the offspring, Ad Seifa Eilam, Hari Elu Ka'ila. They're offered up as an Eilah. That's the case if it gives birth to a male, right? If not, you can't offer it as a male. But when it gives birth, if it gives birth to a male, that male is offered up as an Eilah. Hari Elu Ka'ila, Utunin Hefshit V'nituach. It needs to be flayed and dismembered, and it's consigned to the fire. Now, ask the Gemara, what happens? This is something that Eddie would do. What happens if Eddie, who likes to, be a wise guy, right, Eddie? Likes to be a wise guy. Let's say he dedicates a female as an Eilah. Now, an Eilah can't be a female, Eddie. But Eddie comes to, they look at him in the Beis Hamikdash, and they say, it must be Eddie Chazan. He brings a female as an Eilah. So that's crazy. What do you do? So Hamafrish Nikela La'Eilah, but now, to compound things, it gives birth. And gives birth to a male. The Yolda Zachar. So that male, even though it's a male, it can't be offered up as an Eilah. Why? Because it came from a Kedusha that wasn't able to go on the Mizbeach. It came from a female. So if it gives birth to a male, even though you might say that male could be offered up as an Eilah, no, because since it came from a Kedusha of a female, which couldn't be offered up, Yira Achi Yistav, you have to let it pass you until it gets a mum, v'yamacher, and sell it, v'yavi b'dam of Eilah, and bring with its value an Eilah. Rabbi Lazar, no, Rabbi Lazar says it is a male, it came from an Eilah, an Eddie Eilah, but it came from an Eilah, so who atzma yikr Eilah? It itself could be offered up as an Eilah. Now, again, Ashim, Eddie, please try to get this straight, Eddie. An Ashim also has to be a male. A guilt offering also has, let's say Eddie committed Mila. He has to bring a male as an Ashim. Oh, here we go again. Okay, we're back, right? Okay. So Eddie went ahead and he offered, instead of a male as an Ashim, he offered a female as an Ashim. And that female had a male. Hamafrish Nikevela Ashim. So, first of all, what does he do with that female? Can't be offered up as an Ashim, so what does he do? Tira Achetistav, he lets it pasture until it gets a mum, and he sells it, and with its money he brings his carbon Ashim. V'simacher v'yavi b'dameh Ashim, like he's chayiv to bring. But let's say Eddie already brought another Ashim. So then what does he do with the money? Im karav hashamai, if he already offered an Ashim, So then that money, when it gets a mum and he sells it, yiplu damel in the dove. That money goes into the shayfarais marked in the mizbeach for nedava, for gifts, and it's used for community ailais when business is slow on the altar. We call that kayetz hamizbeach. Rabbi Shimon Aimer, no. Rabbi Shimon says, you don't have to wait until it gets a mum. Remember, I told you waiting with an animal till it gets a mum is a gansachad gadya. It could take years. So Reb Shimon says, Eddie, when he dedicated an Oshim as a nekeva, it doesn't get Kedushas Haguf. Because an Oshim can't be in a cave. It's only Kedushas Damim. Kedushas Damim, Timacher Shaloi B'mum. You could sell it without a mum, because it never got Kedushas Haguf. Now, Tmuras Oshim, the exchange of an Oshim, and Vlad Tmurasa, and here Eddie did it right. He made an Oshim as a male. And then he made an exchange onto another animal. So Tmuras Oshim, and that could have been a female, and Vlad Tmurasa, and its offspring, Uvladan, and their offspring, Vladan, Atzeifa Olam. What do you do with them? Yiruachi Yistavu. They should pasture until they get a mum. V'yamachru v'yiplu d'meim l'nadav. And they're sold, and the money goes for communal oilais when business is slow on the mizbeach. Rebbe Eliezer Aimer, Rebbe Eliezer says that he holds that an oshim, it says kachatas ka'oshim. And just like a Tmuras Chatas dies, so Rabbi Eliezer says the Temura of an Ashim dies. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer Yamusu, Rabbi Eliezer says when it gets a mum and you redeem it, it doesn't go for community ailais, but rather Yavi b'demeyem ailais, you bring your own private ailah. Now, Ashim Shemeisu ba'alav, an Ashim whose owner dies, not Eddie, Chatzkel, whose owner dies. Now, in Kapara La'acha Misa, or V'shekipru Balav, or it got lost, and he brought another one, and then they found this one, so the owner's already at Kapara. Yirachi Yistav, should pasture until it gets a mum. V'yimacher, it's sold. V'yiplu Damav L'nedava, and its money goes for Ayla Tzibur, for Kayetz HaMizbeach. Rebbe Eliezer says no, kachatas ka'oshim, so that's like a chatas shekipru ba'aleh ba'acher, or a chatas shemeis ba'aleh, which has to die. So he holds the oshim is also yamusu. While Rebbe Eliezer says we wait until it gets a mum, but instead of using the money for communal oilais, you buy your own oilos and offer a private oil on the mizbeach, v'yavi b'demeyan oilais. Okay, that's a mouthful. But now we're caught up, Baruch Hashem. We want to thank you all for joining us for a triple header of Torah this evening, albeit there was a short daf. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful evening.
Yashikov, Rabbi, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.